Please be very careful and mindful. There's a lot of open spaces, and while walking in the area, it is an open construction site. I know that they're working on it, but there's been some rain, and now the water's kind of collecting. So please just be careful as you're traversing the area. I also wanted to thank a special thank you to the staff at the farmers market this last weekend. They made a pretty courageous decision when they saw lightning and thunder to wrap up and pick up just basically call it earlier than it was scheduled. It was just in the best interest of the safety of the vendors and the customers. So thank you to their leadership, and hope to see you this Saturday at the Hollywood Farmers Market.
Thank you. Councilor Hill.
Yes, thank you. I'd like to thank everybody who came out to help us celebrate Memorial Day last Monday. It was a nice turnout, nice event. We've got a couple of fun events happening at the Aviation Museum this weekend. On Saturday the 7th at 11 a.m., they will have a celebration of women in aviation. They have a special tour for that. And on Sunday the 8th, they will have an ice cream social in observance of National History Day. And that will be from noon to 3, and free museum admission.
Thank you. Will it be possible for us to promote these events, because these are MNCBPC event and these are happening in College Park? The events at the Aviation Museum. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Hill. Thanks for reminding us. Councilmember Whitney.
Yes, just giving everyone a heads up that there will be a Lakeland Civic Association meeting on Thursday, June 12th, and it will probably be over Zoom.
Thank you. 7 o'clock, right?
Yes, 7 p.m., June 12th.
Okay. Thank you. Councilmember Mackey?
Yes, tomorrow at 10 o'clock at the College Park Woods Clubhouse, there'll be a presentation on protecting yourself against scams for seniors. So that'll be tomorrow. And just wanted to say now with the fine weather, there'll be a lot of people out walking and biking, and just ask people to be mindful of their speed and their stopping for stop signs, and just being mindful that there are children out, and school will be letting out soon, so that we can just keep our residents safe. Thank you.
Thanks for the reminder. Councilmember Anker?
Pass.
And Councilmember Reg.
Thank you. A couple of events that I'm tracking on, one of which is the Calvert Hill Civic Association Annual Ice Cream Social, which is coming up on Saturday the 7th. I just had it up. There it is. At 6:30 p.m. at the Calvert Hills Playground, which is on the city-owned property behind the University of Maryland Daycare Center. So that's on the 7th at 6:30. So come for some free ice cream. I believe they're purchasing from a local ice cream purveyor. The other thing that I'm tracking on is Trolley Trail Day. Very excited about Trolley Trail Day, which runs right down the spine of our city. On Saturday, June 14th, there'll be activities all up and down the span of the trolley trail from Hollywood in the north to, I believe, Riverdale Park in the south. Hyattsville in the south. Thank you.
Two H's.
That's right. Hollywood to Hyattsville. Thank you. So it's a good time with a lot of activities all along the way, and enjoyed. I believe it was is this the second annual one?
Maybe more. Actually,
Maybe
no,
third?
we had more.
All right. Well, anyway, it's a good time.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for the reminder. I'm planning to bike, actually, with a group of bicyclists along the trolley trail on that day. Yeah, please do.
That is culminating with a concert at the Aviation Museum, and I went last year, and it was outstanding. So same choir will be performing, and it was just a lot of fun. So highly recommend.
Thank you. Thanks for the reminder. All right. So today is the first official meeting of our new student liaison, Nicholas DiSpirito, and Deputy Student Liaison, Amira Abu Juma. Welcome to our first meeting. Thank you. Thank you so much. Please introduce yourself officially. I know you were here last meeting, but this is another time. Today is the first meeting. So please go ahead and introduce yourself. And if you have any announcement, please go ahead.
Of course. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Again, my name is Nick DeSpirito. I'm a public policy major, rising junior at the University of Maryland. I'm very excited to be the next student liaison to the council. I also want to give a thank you to Councilmember Ranker for these pins. He stopped us when we were doing our photos outside, which will be for the social media page. So thanks again for that, Councilmember. And a couple updates here. Obviously, I'll allow her to introduce herself, but my lovely deputy Amira is here next with me. So finally having a partner. So very excited about that and getting to work with her this year. And also, we are starting creating applications for an advisory council for us that we are going to establish going into this school year. We already have a chief of staff position, but we're working on getting the applications up and then getting that out to students who would be interested. So I'll allow my deputy to introduce herself and so forth.
Please go ahead. Pujuma.
Hi, everyone. It's so great to be here today. My name's Amira Bujma. I'm also a rising junior. I'm a current computer engineering and public policy double major. I'm really excited to be here. I love College Park. I've lived here for the past 2 years. I spend the summers here, so I'm really excited to give back.
Thank you, and welcome again, and look forward to working with you. Fantastic. All right, let's go to our city manager. He is joining us online from Kent, Ohio. Again, he's attending the ITGA conference. Mr. Kenny Young. Is a
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
there you go.
I don't have any announcements from here today. Mr. Gardner may have some announcements that we need to make.
Thank you. Thank you. Very nice to see you online.
Just
All
a
right.
couple
Mr. Gardiner, yeah, please go ahead.
quick announcements. It's Pride Month, and hopefully when you came in the building today, you noticed the banners we have out, as well as the traveling exhibit that we have downstairs. We partnered with the Stonewall Museum and have information about the Stonewall Uprising in 1969, as well as essentially a PowerPoint presentation about gay rights in America, kind of since the 1940s, I believe. So if you haven't already, take a look at the exhibit and the PowerPoint on our screens. And then, of course, not this Friday, but the following Friday, we'll have our Friday Night Live, which will be the Pride theme, Friday Night Live. A couple announcements. I know you mentioned the seminar about fraud. You mentioned the Trolley Trail Day. The farmers market will be opening at 9 o'clock on Trolley Trail Day. Normally we open at 10, so we'll be open a little bit longer. As I think you all know, we have free parking downtown all summer. Tell your friends and neighbors that. And there was one more update that I wanted to mention. This Friday is the registration deadline for our summer reading camp program. It'll be at the University of Maryland. It's free. It's for students K through 7. Please go to our website and you can find information about how to register. I think that's it.
Thank you. Thanks so much for the update. Any question for Mr. Gardiner? Seeing none, let's go to acknowledgements. So we have our wonderful former city councilman, Bob Catling, in the room. Thank you. Thank you for joining. We don't think we have anyone else online. Don't see anyone. We have 3 proclamations to make. The first one is Immigrant Heritage Month, and it reads as follows. Whereas Immigrant Heritage Month allows us to celebrate our origins as a nation of immigrants, and whereas generations of immigrants from every corner of the globe have built our country's economy and created the unique character of our nation, and whereas immigrants continue to grow businesses, strengthen our economy, and create jobs in College Park and around the nation, and whereas immigrants have provided the United States with unique social and cultural influences, fundamentally enriching the extraordinary fabric of our nation. And whereas immigrants have tireless leaders, not only in securing their own rights and access to equal opportunity, but have also campaigned to create a fairer and more just society for all Americans. And whereas immigrants have been tireless leaders, not only
That paragraph is repeated, so you can just skip to the whereas. The now therefore.
You're right. Now, therefore, the Mayor and Council of the City of College Park do hereby proclaim that June 2025 is designated as Immigrant Heritage Month in the City of College Park, and we encourage all residents to embrace the significant contributions of our immigrant population. So proclaimed this third day of June 2025. Fazil Kabir, Mayor, City of College Park. And the second one is LGBTQIA Pride Month, and it reads as follows. Whereas the nation was founded upon the principles that every person is created equal, that each has the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and that each shall be accorded the full recognition and protection of law. And whereas Pride Month is a time to recognize and celebrate the impact of LGBTQIA plus individuals locally, nationally, and internationally. And whereas our community is strengthened by the rich diversity of our residents, and LGBTQIA plus residents and visitors should feel valued, safe, empowered, and supported by their peers, educators, and community leaders. And whereas it is essential that our LGBTQIA plus youth be accorded the freedom to be themselves without fear and live free from reprisals, discrimination, or bullying. And whereas, and now therefore, the Mayor and Council of the City of College Park hereby proclaim June as Pride Month of College in College Park, and encourage our community to eliminate prejudice wherever it exists, to celebrate our great diversity and actively promote the principles of equality, liberty, and justice for all. So proclaim this third day of June 2025, Fazil Kabir, Mayor, City of College Park. And the third and the last one is about the Chesapeake Bay Awareness Month, and it reads as follows. Whereas the Chesapeake Bay is the largest and most productive estuary in the United States, with its watershed spanning 6 states and District of Columbia, covering 64,000 square miles, is an extraordinary and vital natural resource with some of the nation's most productive farm and forest lands. And whereas the Chesapeake Bay is fed by 50 major tributaries, including the Susquehanna, Potomac, Rappahannock, York, and James Rivers, and it stretches 200 miles from Havre de Grace, Maryland, to Norfolk, Virginia. And whereas the Chesapeake Bay watershed is home to more than 18 million people, many of whom rely upon the watershed's natural resources for their livelihood, food, drinking water, and recreational activities. And whereas the Chesapeake Bay produces more than 500 million pounds of seafood harvest each year, and the more than 83,000 farms in the Chesapeake Bay watershed contribute more than $10 billion to the regional economy and provide food for millions of Americans. And whereas the Chesapeake Bay's Maryland's tributaries are an important source of drinking water, which is essential for public health and economic growth, and a vital resource for future generations. Now, therefore, the Mayor and Council of the City of College Park do hereby proclaim June 8 to 14, 2025 as Chesapeake Bay Awareness Week in the City of College Park, and urge residents to recognize the importance of the valuable resource to protect and enjoy its natural beauty and bounty, and to increase awareness of the importance of the Chesapeake Bay watershed to our community, so proclaimed this third day of June 2025. Fazil Kabir, Mayor, City of College Park, Maryland. Now is the time for amendment and approval of the agenda. Is there any amendment on this?
I'd like to pull off the stop signs off consent, please. The
Oh, is
stop
that
sign camera.
consent agenda? Okay. Certainly. That doesn't need a vote, so it has been, can I discuss it? We don't have an action item, so that should be action, we can discuss it in agenda number 13. All right, so that is the 25G57 will be going into agenda 13. All right, any other changes?
Move to accept the agenda as amended.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? The agenda has been approved. Now this is the time for public comments. Anyone's in the audience or online, please come forward. You have 3 full minutes to speak on any items in your minds.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm Bob Catlin, a resident of the Berwyn neighborhood of College Park. I think I've appeared before you 6 times in the last 7 or 8 months to give you some historical tidbits about College Park going back, things that happened going back about 40 years. Today, I won't have any specific one I'm going to talk about. I'm just going to give you a preview of coming attractions I hope to finish by the end of the year. One will be a talk about development from the mid-'70s to the mid-'80s. That was obviously focused on urban renewal, Lakeland. But there was also some adjacent development in Lakeland and Berwyn that was not part of urban renewal, but it was it made that whole area the center of development in the city for that decade. Then in the from the mid-1980s to the mid-1990s, we had almost no development in the city. We had some scattered small projects. If there was a focus of development, it was in Berwyn. Then from the late 90s to the mid-2000s, all of a sudden North College Park was the focus of development, and it seemed to be tied to its access to the Beltway. So there wasn't a whole lot of development going on in College Park, except in North College Park for almost a decade. Another thing I want to talk about later is there were 3 major projects on big tracts of land that were very interesting. One was the Washington Post development on Greenbelt Road. The second one was the IKEA development. And the third one was the Juniors Tennis Center down by the airport. The one thing I learned from those 3 developments was it's always better to be lucky than good. And then finally, I'd like to talk about the changes to the zoning of Route 1 in 2003 that led to the development of University View and 16 additional apartment projects over the next 20 years. So thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing this fascinating history. We should document them somewhere. Thank you. Thank you for doing your research and presenting them. Please keep them coming. All right, anyone else? I don't see any virtual hands. So let's go to the next item, which is the approval of the consent agenda. We have now 2 consent agenda items. The first one is 25G56, which is about the approval of amendment to the VIO Mobility Share Agreement, substantially the form as attached, subject to the approval of the city attorney. And the second and the last one is 25G49, which is about the approval of a resolution of the Mayor and Council of the City of College Park adopting the recommendation of the Advisory Planning Commission regarding variance application number CEO 20225-01 9623 Narragansett Parkway, College Park, Maryland, recommending approval of 1 variance from the City Code, Section Article 87-23C, to permit the installation of a 42-inch high black aluminum fence in the front yard. Can I entertain a motion to approve?
I move to pass the consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Any opposed, any abstention? The consent agenda has been approved. We don't have any presentation, and we don't have any public hearing, so no action, but we have an action item, which is 25G 57. I believe our Director of Public Services, Jitinder Coker, was online a few minutes ago. Mr. Coker, yeah, Mr.
Yes,
Coker is
he's
there.
online.
Please take it away. The floor is yours. Please go ahead, Mr. Coker.
Thank you, Mayor, City Council members, and residents of College Park, Maryland.
If you could please move forward a little bit towards your mic, you're having little trouble in hearing you. Thank you.
Can you hear it now?
Yeah, you can hear you. Please go ahead.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor. The item beforehand is related with the increase in fine recommended, the maximum fine before.
No, this is 25G57. This is the item that was in consent agenda,
okay.
but has been pulled out. Yeah. Approval of
Sorry
5
about
stop
that.
sign monitoring.
Okay, so the item 25-G57, it relates with the 5 stop sign monitoring systems locations in the city within the corporate boundaries of City of College Park. As we all know, we have done a pilot program last year in the month of September, and we had gone through, the vendor Avio has done that pilot program and provided us all the data. The data was shared back on October 8, 2024, and all the data was shared with all the council members in a public forum like this. The council recommended us to make sure that we get it vetted by BPAC, which is Bicycle and Pedestrian Action Committee, a subset of APC, and also go through some of the deployment feasibility requirements, school zone distance requirement, and other pertinent mandatory requirements from the state law on this particular stop sign monitoring system. Then later on, we went through few discussions earlier this year, and on April 8, to have the enabling legislation, we introduced the ordinance, and that ordinance was passed on May 13th after a hearing was done with the public. That particular ordinance effective date is June 3rd, which is today. At the present time, we are going through discussions for the operational aspect of all these items, and we are still, finalizing those aspects of it. The first step was getting the ordinance passed, which we have done, and the second step is to get our locations approved through county council. And we are working at the present time with our county council member Eric Olson and Tom Dernoga, and we are working with them to get these locations passed.
Thank you. Is that all you have?
And I do believe the locations are within the cover memo document, and these were the locations. We started with about 14, 15 locations. They were shortlisted to 9 locations. And when we went through the criterion with the BPAC and the deployment feasibility and the other mandatory requirements from the code, we shortlisted to these 5 locations. And this item is, brought before the council so that we have a official document with the approval from the council, what we present to the county council to get these locations approved. If there are any questions as pertain to the criterion or any other related question, I
Certainly.
can respond to them at this moment.
I
Thank
believe,
you.
thank you. I believe Councilor Hernandez, yeah, please go ahead because you're the one requested to have this discussion. Please.
Thanks, Director Kokar. My only concern, or I guess just my question for future-proofing some of these plans. I know that the current camera system isn't a mobile one, but there are some other sites that have been identified as problematic spaces for stop signs. I just want to get your confirmation, or at least a better understanding of what the process would look like should we request a new space. Is that based off of like the residents requesting it, similar to how we have speed control measures, or how exactly? And what would be the cost associated with introducing a new, enforcement mechanism?
Okay, let me just make it more clear and obvious that I'm understanding your question correctly. Is your concern is regarding the speed camera that exists at the location that I have been made aware of earlier? Because stop sign is a different kind of monitoring thing. And definitely, I think our approach is, even for the existing speed cameras, as well as the red light camera, project that is going on at the present time, we are working on 4 different locations, even for the red light camera as well. I am aware of the fact that there is a location across from your home in your district, and I am already in conversation with the Ultimate project manager to find out the viable, resolution to that particular matter. And we are working on it, and you will get a response in writing from us as to our resolution to that matter.
Director Kokar, maybe I needed to rephrase my question just a little bit better. Let me try to clarify it very simply. If there's another site in the city that we want a stop sign camera, how are we going to determine that, and how much would another stop sign camera cost? So it's 2 questions.
I think I'm gonna have to work through the cost analysis on it and provide that, but definitely we want environmentally friendly equipment, as well as the location should be warranted with the need and justification, so that we have a fair and consistent process in the city. As I said earlier, the criterion was collecting the data, how many violations exist given a pilot study time, and before we decide anything, we have to make sure that we have done the same vetting for every location request that comes to us. As far as the installation aspects of these are concerned, we definitely want to make sure that we do the environmentally friendly approach, like use the solar installation rather than using a mechanical device for requirement for the electricity for that location. That is our approach, but we can, I'm gonna have to work on the cost factor and provide that analysis. I do not have that information with me presently.
Okay, all right. I think Councilmember Rigg.
I might have a little bit of a response to that. As I recall, the financing for the stop sign cameras is based, the capital costs are incurred by the vendor. So the sites are decided as a collaboration between the city, the vendor who needs a certain number of anticipated violations to be able to make it make sense economically, and county council members who have to apparently approve it as well. So I don't know. I don't know whether there's a satisfactory answer to how much an additional one would cost. I think it would be whether the vendor and the county council members would agree that that's an appropriate location and use.
Thanks, Councilmember Rigg. So just so everyone knows why my question's being asked, there's going to be many different residents who are going to ask us for a particular location, right? Just historically speaking, I know that there's been a lot of suggestions and complaints about Hollywood and the service road right there on Rhode Island, but also I know that the intersection of Fox is also somewhat problematic, or even up north towards where Hollywood Elementary School is. There's just a whole bunch of different locations, right? So I just wanted to better understand, and maybe we can take this back and take it offline, but like, I just want to know in the future, when the residents want a particular camera, what is the process of them requesting that? Because that seems a little bit unclear to me. That's it.
Sure, no, and thank you for rephrasing your question, Councilmember Hernandez. Definitely, I think we can add more cameras. Because we follow the direction from the council and we came up with the 5 locations which were viable. There's nothing in the law that says you can't have, like, instead of 5, you can't have 7 or 8, 9, or even 10 or even 12. But then again, I think for all these locations to be approved, we have to make sure that feasibility is done, as well as the installations are environmental friendly. And also, if we increase anything, we have to go through the process again with the county council for adding those names and getting them approved as well. But for presently, we have the 5 approved, and we can definitely increase them. There's nothing in the law that says that we cannot increase them based on the need of the community and the feedback that we are getting from the community and the issues that they have and they want them to be
Thank you. Thank you. Ms. Mackey, can we go to,
As we
City
see
Manager, Mr. Young?
Mr. Young has a
and,
question
bike
or
riders,
comment.
in the community.
Thank you. Mr. Young, please go ahead.
Yes, Mayor and Council, I just wanted to remind you all, the approach that council had asked us to take was to take a slow and steady approach and not do a large number of locations initially. And one of the things that would enable us to do is to see how these cameras are operating and how, what kind of statistical data that we need to be tracking in order to look at additional locations. The other, and Councilmember Rigg is correct, the cost for the cameras themselves are picked up by the vendor. What we have run into a lot on a number of the locations that we initially looked at for consideration is we are also battling the need to maintain our tree canopy in College Park. And by doing so, that eliminates a lot of potential intersections that we could utilize. And as Mr. Kokar has also mentioned, there's other criteria such as distance from a school, which we only have a few of in College Park. And those are all qualifying factors that will dictate where we can put something. So I think that we'll be looking at things pretty hard. So Mr. Hernandez, I wish I had always had an answer for you, but I really don't have one until we actually get this across the finish line and we can actually get them implemented. We are running behind. We've gone through several processes that the council has asked us to go through, including additional meetings with the public, as well as additional meetings with the Bike and Pedestrian Committee, and taking those recommendations. And so that's why you see some of the other entities did not go through all those processes that we did. And that's why we are probably going to be the last ones to implement this.
Thank you. Ms. Mackey, thanks for your
So
patience.
thank you for that, Mr. Young. So I just wanted to ask, so what will be the process of rolling this out and informing the residents of the criteria? Because I think a lot of people don't understand the criteria of it having to be within a school zone. And actually, I didn't know that the University of Maryland counted as a school zone, but I guess does. So I'm glad to know that too. So, so that the residents know why these were the first picks, and that this doesn't mean that this is the end all of them, that we wanted to start small and grow from here. So how will residents be made aware of this? Thank you.
I'll take that. We will have a communications plan that we will execute once we are confident in what locations have been decided. One of the things that we've been talking about internally, and I believe council had wanted, was a little bit of a grace period as we are implementing before fines would take place. So once we get to that point, we will do like we always do for almost anything that we initiate, is come up with the communications plan to the public and then execute it.
Please.
So could we say that maybe within the next 3 months, we might be able to revisit for like a second site in each district? Or is that seeming unreasonable?
If you're asking me, I don't think that's a reasonable request, and simply, I'm not trying to be flippant here, but I'm a little bit frustrated. We, as staff, have come back to council on several occasions on this particular project, and each time we've come back to council, the council has changed directions on where they would like to go, and particularly, certain districts over others. So what we're trying to do is get the minimum number of locations at least established to be able to have a baseline to operate.
Okay.
Thank you. Maybe this is a city attorney's question. So tonight, this will be approving, the council as a body will be approving 5 locations. So if we add, say, 3 more locations in 6 months, will this need to be council's approval?
The reason for the action for tonight is then the next step is that the county council of Prince George's County has to approve those locations. So we wanted to show that those locations had been approved by the local governing body. So this is the first step. So I would imagine, and I need to go back and review the state law in our code for particulars, that we would have to repeat the same process if we wanted to add additional sites.
So you'll look into it. Okay. You may or may not need it. Because for stop signs, I don't think, not stop signs, for speed cameras, I don't think those need council
Yeah,
approval.
they don't have the same requirements.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yes, Sydney?
Yeah, just a quick comment. I know we saw a lot of violations that didn't look that egregious when we saw the videos from the pilot project. So I just wanted to voice again my hope that part of our comms campaign with launching this will be some example videos of, this is not a proper stop and this will get you a ticket, even though you think you stopped. So just some examples of what a proper stop would constitute with a system like this. I think we have to make sure to make that public. Thank you.
Yes, Jason. Mr. Hill?
So this is just a procedure to approve the locations. We've not yet selected the vendor, is that correct? Or are we going with the vendor that came before us?
That's a good question.
We are still working on firming up the arrangement with the vendor.
There is a RFP process, competitive bidding process?
I'm sorry.
To select the vendor, are you going out for RFP through an RFP process, request for proposals?
I will direct that to the city manager.
Yeah, we were actually writing a contract, and I'm not sure which, I think it was the town of Brentwood, was the contract we decided that we would write. If we were to look at another vendor, we'd have to go through a whole additional process for collecting data.
Thank you. Good to know. All right, Mr. Ray. That's good.
Yeah, so it sounds like to me, and I'm imagining then the contract comes before the council once that's finalized and ready to go. Is that for our approval? Yeah. Yeah, because I'll just be interested to see in that how long the contract will be for, and I assume then there would be something in there about, how decisions in the future would be made if a place needed to be added, for example, yeah, you know, I think those will be important considerations in that contract.
Thank you. That's fair. All right, if there is no question, I'll entertain a motion. Okay, Ms. Whitney.
I move to approve 5 stop sign monitoring devices to be installed at Edgewood Road and 52nd Place, School Zone, Hollywood Elementary School, District 1. 2, College Ave and Yale Avenue, School Zone, University of Maryland College Park Foundation, District 3. 3, St. Andrews Place and Davidson Street, School Zone, Cherokee Lane Elementary School in District 4. Number 4, Rhode Island Avenue and Lakeland Road, School Zone, Paint Branch Elementary School in District 2. Number 5, Calvert Road and Rhode Island Avenue, School Zone, University of Maryland College Park Foundation in District 3.
Second.
Further comments? Ms. Whitney?
I'm looking forward to safer streets in College Park around our schools.
Thank you. All right, so this is an action item. I need to go to the audience. If you have any comments, you have a great audience in the room. Or if you have joined online, please raise your virtual hand so we'll allow you to speak. Seeing none, let's come back to the council. If you have any comments before the vote, this is the time. If you're not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? 25G 57 has been approved. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Coker, and staff for your work. And thank you for your patience.
Thank you, Council. Appreciate it.
All right, please don't go away. We have we have work session, and this will be taken by you as well. And this is about the review and discussion of code provisions to increase municipal infractions from $1,000 to $5,000, which is related to Senate Bill 820. And this will be again taken by our Director of Public Services, Jatinder Coker, and our City Attorney, Stephanie Anderson. I believe, Mr. Coker, are you going to take? Please go ahead. Floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor, Council, and the residents of City of College Park. This particular item is related to Senate Bill 820, which is going to be authorizing us raising our maximum fines from $1,000 to $5,000. And it is yet to be effective. The effective date for it is October 1, later this year. I had discussed this bill and details with my staff and my managers and supervisors in code enforcement. And we have provided some of the, summary of the present, current fines that exist for different code violations. If you will look at the cover memo, it provides like Chapter 87 deals with building construction, and that's the whole chapter that deals with different aspects of the scoping of construction. Some examples within that could be like somebody working without permit, or somebody removing a permit without getting an appropriate and just continuing the work. Those are certain examples of it. Their present fine is, first fine is $100, and then the second offense is like $200. For example, if you go to chapter 115 that deals with the fire safety requirements, we have different details within that chapter that deals with the safety devices within the residential home as well as the commercial structures. And it could be lack of sprinklers not working, sprinkler system not working, or lacking the appropriate maintenance needed on regular basis based on the law. Smoke alarms and carbon monoxide detectors not working, those are another example of this particular aspect. One of the common ones is also housing and unfit dwellings condemnations. Sometime, some properties get into derelict scenario because there's no one, because maybe someone was living there, and because of aging process, someone passed away, and the heirs of that property may not be taking care of the maintenance, regular maintenance of the structure, so that it doesn't become a nuisance for the neighbors or the community at large. So we end up dealing with condemning those structures, and we do under the provisions of Chapter 125, Section 13. Similarly, for noise, we frequently use, because of the parties, that happen when, students are here in the session, or some other, like not just University of Maryland student, they could also be related with other universities in the area as well, and some other educational institutes as well. So we deal with that particular, item there. We have utilized $500 fine. That's the first offense, and the second is $1,000 fine. But a lot of time when we are trying to do that, people just write off the check. They don't take that seriously. So I think this increased recommendation by the state Senate bill is definitely one of the stronger tools in our toolbox to be able to handle all these scenarios, the different touch to the type of enforcement that we are doing. We have also used on a couple of occasions the unruly social gathering things. I don't like to give the name of the street address, but I think we are all aware of. We have utilized that couple of times during my tenure, like last year and this year. We have utilized that couple of times. We also have many of these situations where new businesses are coming, they start operating, but they never get, city of College Park occupancy. Sometime when they're talking to county, there is not a clear communication. And when we approach them because of some complaint or even doing a blitz for code enforcement, we find that many of these people are not kind of doing it. And we educate them, give them an opportunity, and if they don't follow through that opportunity to correct their violation, we write them up based on the requirements of the law. So these are some of the examples that I have shared with the council right now. But my whole purpose here is to seek guidance and input from the council members, and more importantly from the residents and the community members and the neighborhood association to give us feedback. What are the other areas they would want us to focus on? So to me, this discussion or work session item is to seek guidance and input and feedback from the council members and the community members, so that when we are really forming it up, we are doing it in a more holistic way, and it is meeting the expectations of our residents.
Thank you. Ms. Anderson, do you want to add anything? This is the law.
Thank you, and good evening, Mayor and Council. I would add that the language says 1,000 to, and then it goes to 5,000, but it's up to. So it's not just 1 to 5. It can be a range there.
Thank you. In the packet, in the cover memo, so there is a table of couple of suggestions. Are these changes for us to approve, or we don't need to approve them?
Just discussion now.
These are current, but Mr. Coker was suggesting to change them. Are we going to approve them as a body?
This is just
Oh,
No, not tonight, in the future.
No, not tonight. I think, I believe the idea is these are the areas in the current code where it might be beneficial to increase the fines so that we can get more compliance.
Right. So once we make the change, are you going to approve from the council?
Not tonight, no. We're just
But
going
it
to
has to be
discuss.
approved by the council?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That was my question.
And I would add, the law does not become effective until October 1st.
Thank you. Mr. Coker, illegal dumping, that is a county law. I think the maximum fine used to be $500, and we probably enforce that county law in the city of College Park. Are you suggesting to change that to 1,000?
These are our present practices, Mayor, and we are like, if there is a provision presently written in the county law, yes, we enforce. And if there is a written provision in our city code, we enforce. And eventually, like this information is for, that I shared in the memo, is for the awareness for all the council members and the residents. But what we are saying is, and I appreciate Stephanie saying that, like, okay, it could be tiered fine, not just go from 1,000 to 5, but like it could be 2,000, 2,500, or 3,000 based on the severity of the violation. But the purpose of this cover memo is not to seek approval, but to like share with you all, this is the present practice that we do. And then once this law become effective on October 1, we can incorporate, and we, like, if the staff has to do it, they will go with the accepted practices and what they learned from the neighboring communities, how they enforce these items. But like what we are doing here is we will be open, because ultimately we're going to have to amend our chapter 110, where the penalties and fines are.
Okay.
And whatever the final direction comes from the council, we will, like introduce that piece of it and then bring it back for the final approval.
Thank you.
I think that's what my understanding is.
Thank you, and that makes sense. Ms. Mackey?
Yes, I thank the city staff for bringing this forward. Please correct me if I'm wrong. So a lot of our fines are from like the 1990s. Like they haven't been updated for like decades. So I think that it's important that we get our fines to a place where we're deterring a negative behavior. One of the other things that I think is very important is that we have community meetings on this, like in at least one in every district, to see how the community is feeling about this. But and we have a lot of we talked about blighted properties. We have a whole committee talking about vacant and blighted properties. But we have a code and code enforcement officers, and we need to make sure that our fines are at a level where when a code enforcement officer gives a municipal infraction, it has a sting, and so that the code enforcement officer doesn't have to keep going back and back and back. Hopefully one time will be enough to deter that behavior. Nobody likes giving fines. It would be great if everybody followed rules and we didn't have to give fines. I mean, that would be great, but that's not the world we live in, and we have to get our fines up to date. So I'm in support of this, Director. I defer to the wisdom of the code enforcement officers, because they're the ones who are out there implementing the code and realizing which codes might need to be updated. I know that my mother lived next to a house that was a derelict house, and the code enforcement officer was always going and giving municipal fractions, and the landlord said, I'm just going to I'll just pay that, because it was only a small fee, and it didn't deter the behavior. And so we want to be deterring negative behavior. So I'm in support of this, and I would like to just encourage you, Director, to really just talk to those people who are out there doing it, the code enforcement people, and look at the GoGov complaints and those kind of things. So yes, I support this. Thank you.
Thank you. Good point. Mr. Ranker and then Mr. Wig.
Yeah, I really see this, especially in the light of our conversation of a month ago around especially the blighted properties and vacant properties. And, I'm not interested in somebody who accidentally makes a mistake getting a $5,000 fine, of course. But I think it's really important that we have escalators for repeat offenders. We have somebody in my neighborhood who has continued to dump construction material in their backyard and has gotten fine after fine after fine, but it's a $1,000 fine, and they can handle that. But it's just I think probably we all know of these places in our district that just continue to, flip their nose at what the kind of city that we want to be and the way to treat your neighbors and be in community, and aren't following these provisions. And so I'm a strong proponent of a continual escalator. So it can even be, we don't just have a second time fine of this, there's a third time and that goes up even more, and a fourth time and that goes up even more. If it's in a certain period of time, especially, to really get folks to correct their behavior, to be more considerate of their neighbors and the environment. Thank you. Mr. Rigg?
Yeah, I'm supportive of looking at our fines, and note that in section 110 of the ordinance there are a lot of escalators already. I think Mr. Cookhart did a great job of pointing out some areas in which there are particularly egregious or dangerous conditions, and I think those are a great place to start. I think we might need to think, there are so many different sections in which fines and penalties appear. I think we're going to figure out some sort of reasonable way to be able to think about this as a council. And I think, there are probably at least 3 different ways to do it. One way would be the good old classic subcommittee approach of the council to look at these fines, fine thresholds, and escalators. Another would be a staff recommendation-based approach, which is kind of what this would point towards. And I think we would want to try to not stray too far away from those unless we couldn't help ourselves, just because there are hundreds of different fees in section 110. And I suppose the third would be more of a grassroots-based approach, either utilizing the APC. They did hearings on fence ordinances a number of years ago, and obviously that tends to be more sort of like land use and code establishment and less on fees. But they could be, they certainly know the code better than the average bear. Perhaps they'd be willing to take this on, or a series of community meetings. I would lean towards looking for a few, the staff-led approach, looking for a few egregious ones and really workshopping those with community meetings and seeing how they progress. Of those that were offered by city staff, I think these are pretty good examples. But so, for example, I did notice in my review of the code, there is a 24-hour fire safety threshold that's set to 1,000. If you have a fire code issue, and it seems like that could be a potential danger, and that may be an example of an area in which we might want to look a little bit more closely. I definitely think noise is an area in which we could look at a higher upper threshold. I know that some of our persistently problematic, noisy residences, sort of figure into the cost of doing business $1 or $2 $1,000 fees per year, and that's much to the consternation of residents. And similarly, unruly social gatherings. As far as staff observations are concerned, I defer to the judgment of staff about whether things like building construction or illegal occupancy, would merit higher thresholds. I tend to think they are. Overall, as was pointed out, our upper threshold hasn't increased much beyond has not been permitted to increase beyond 1,000 for forever. And in fact, most of our thresholds haven't moved at all. And so, I think there's some opportunity here. I don't think it's probably a good use of the council's time to sit in a series of work sessions and hammer through each and every one of these, because I think that would take forever. I think we're gonna have to probably use maybe one of those 3 different approaches that I suggested, or maybe there's other suggestions.
Thank you. Yeah, the reason the fines, the upper limits of the fines were always $1,000 is because of the state law. The state wasn't allowing us. And I don't thank the council as a body and also staff for working on supporting this Senate bill, is it 520? 820. And I think this is one of the three priority bills we supported from the council, and thankfully it was approved. So I'm not surprised that the council is supporting now. But you made a few good points, Mr. Ray. There are a couple of ways of doing it. But it will start with the staff first, because you are, as Ms. Mackey said, you are in the field, code enforcement officers in the field, they know the situation, and they can actually suggest us what is the best approach to move forward.
Well, I think staff can come back with a list of recommendations. There'll be an opportunity for council to vet, there'll be an opportunity for residents to vet and provide input, and then kind of based on that level of information, bring back a final version for council approval.
Certainly, that sounds fair to me, at least. Thank you. All right, so this is this work session, but there. Mr. Amdi?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Do you want to speak? I'm coming to you after Mr. Day.
Thank you. I completely agree with that approach, with the staff recommendation approach. I also want to just bring back, I know it was listed underneath the present fines that were presented to us. Overcrowding was listed, and I think we might also consider how much extra money landlords make by allowing more than 5 unrelated persons to live in homes and actually renting them with that purpose, and consider a fine that would actually make that not advantageous to do that. So I want us to strongly consider that, since that overcrowding is something that we hear about over and over again in civic association meetings. I also didn't hear anything about the tree ordinance, and I just wonder, I would just want to ask, like, if we're having challenges enforcing that, because the fines aren't very high, if people are just kind of like, oh, I'll just cut down the tree and it won't be so bad if I get caught. So those would be my comments, and I agree with the approaches that Councilmember
thank
Ray
you.
put forward. Thank you.
There's some good opportunities. Ms. Bujma, please go ahead.
Hello, I just wanted to ask a point of clarification. So in regards to housing and unfit dwellings, for those who are in apartment complexes or rented housing, are those infractions ever paid by the tenants, or are they always done by the landlords?
So, is it Mr. Coker?
Wouldn't it depend on the contract?
Can you confirm that?
We can confirm, but I believe that it's a landlord's responsibility.
Okay, and then for apartment complexes, if it's a whole building issue, is the citation, is it per unit, or is it just a one-time fee?
It'd be per unit, unless Mr. Gokar has anything else to add.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
We
ma'am,
can get
could
back to
please
you.
Repeat your question?
Can you repeat the question for Mr. Coker?
Sure. So I was asking for, in regards to housing and unfit dwelling fines, for people who are in apartment complexes or rented housing, are the infractions ever paid by the tenants themselves, or is it always done by the landlord?
Yeah, it is always, the landlord is the one who is held responsible for payment of the fine.
Okay, and then for whole building issues, do you know if the fine is per unit or if it's just a one-time fee to the landlord?
So if the violations are in the common areas like HVAC system or air conditioning, or any of the, like changing the filters or those kind of things, or temperature not being maintained by the overall unit, then it's the landlord that is responsible. And they also, like if they repeat that kind of behavior, they frequently get fined to get them corrected every time they violate.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, good question. Mr. DeSpirito.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just with a follow-up to that, especially just want to put in consideration, especially when considering whether to potentially raise fines on this particular issue, going into a next meeting. Kind of the situation that's happened, as I'm sure some know, about the Chelsea Gardens apartments in particular. Kind of a lot of residents have been asked to leave because it's been acquired because of how bad the living conditions were in this building. And this building in general had a bunch of issues. That wasn't just subject to just one unit. It was a bunch of units. It was kind of a bunch of general issues related to the building as a whole. So especially an issue as well is that if the fines are directed towards like the tenants themselves or people who are living in there, it creates kind of an issue in the sense that a lot of them can't afford to pay for the repairs themselves. They can't afford to move to somewhere else already.
We are very quiet, which is a good thing. Let's have some hands. There you go.
Yeah, so that's just something to consider, especially of who like the fine is going to impact. If it's going to impact like the resident here, especially if low-income residents are living in these like areas, it's important to consider who this fine is going to impact. And if it's going to impact more of or directed towards landlords or the building management, I would see it more effective than it would be if it was towards the tenants who wouldn't be able to afford for those repairs in this given situation.
Good point. Mr. Coker, do you want to comment on that? And this is a policy thing, probably.
Yeah, sure. I think there are some scenarios which are mentioned in the IPMC Property Maintenance Code. Like in rare occasions, the tenant can be held responsible if they are not upkeeping their unit for the regular use of it. You know, like maybe if someone is not keeping their range clean and getting some of it's working, like if it's the electric range, maybe a couple of the range sections get destroyed, then definitely, you know, like, and if the code officer is able to verify that, then they could also cite that tenant for not keeping up the regular maintenance or not keeping the equipment clean. But that is very rare occasion. And a lot of these things, the way this has been explained by the student liaison, in tenant landlord cases for code enforcement, you know, there are certain, you know, scenarios where, you know, like when they are looking at maybe 30 items in the whole complex, you know, if it's general common area things, the landlord is going to be held responsible. But there may be certain things where maybe some equipment is not working within all of those units. So it's a manufacturer, you know, issue, or maybe every like, you know, refrigerator that has been, you know, like supplied, it's, you know, like temperature knob stopped working, and it's not just one refrigerator issue, it's along all of those. So they can probably direct the, you know, landlord to replace all of those.
Yeah.
So it's on case-by-case basis, and with the severity of the item and specific reason why that violation is a decision factor here.
Thank you. Yeah, so yeah, if you raised some good points and some good examples, and please reach out to Director Coker, and definitely he can address that. If it needs to have some change to our code, that might be a consideration. But Mr. Coker is an expert in this field, so he can certainly answer your questions. Ms. Whitney, you had your hand raised?
Yeah, I was just going to make the point that obviously like noise violations, things like that are things that fall, they tend to be pretty logical about who really is at fault when there is a violation issued. And I think it's probably important for tenants to, if there is a scenario in which they feel like tenants are being kind of blamed on purpose for something in order to get rid of them, that they communicate that to, you know, code enforcement or to their council representatives if they think that's necessary, if it's kind of an odd situation.
Yeah, thank you. All right, any discussion on the dollar amounts, the opportunities? Mr. Ranker?
No, but I was gonna, you know, because this brings up a good point in terms of what are landlords allowed to include in the leases, if they're allowed to legally pass on fines, which ones. I just don't know. But it's also not just a legal issue; it's a knowledge-based issue. So do tenants know their rights, and are they prepared? So you know, I think that those are important pieces, especially as we I mean, regardless of whether we would raise the fines or not, those are important things to be clear on. Just in terms of discussion too, because looking through section 110 and beyond, as Councilmember Rigg mentioned, there are, 1,700 different, things here. My preference would be that we be ready to move on some things, like that we don't need to get everything exactly how we want it, by October 1st. But if we need to kind of take sections at a time, just recognizing that this will be a lot of work by our staff, and I'd hate to, have it drag on so long that we can't start addressing some of these issues.
Sounds good. So looks like a staff has direction. Maybe there will need to be, so we need to have another follow-up work session with the possible items from the long list of items, which where we can make some changes on the fine amounts and go from there, and
we'll
get
bring some-
get the community
we'll bring
engaged,
something
get the
back.
community's input, as Mr. Rigg was suggesting. Mr. Rigg, do you have follow-up?
No, somebody was mentioned something online. I do have something, but I defer to, was that Mr. Cookar?
I was just saying.
Oh, Mr. Young, please go ahead.
I was just saying, we will bring, once we have a chance to meet with staff and kind of vet through some of the material, and I thank you all for your feedback today. It kind of gives us a couple of areas that we can kind of zero in on ahead of time in particular. And, my thoughts also on the unruly social gathering ordinance. That would be an example where we'd be looking at both the landlord as well as the tenant in those cases. But again, it's all dependent upon each individual situation. So, but I think we have enough here. So thank you all for giving us some of your input on that and how to kind of approach moving forward. And we'll bring an item back to council probably once we've had an opportunity also to discuss this with the public a few times prior to coming to back to council.
Certainly, thank you. And
Mr.
in the
Mayor.
meantime, if you have other ideas, you should be changing the fine amounts, please reach out to staff and send those comments to staff. Mr. Rigg?
Yeah, my comments, which is consistent with what Mr. Young said, is if there's a desire on behalf of council to dig deeper and really do a more comprehensive analysis and overhaul, I really think that it's going to have to be a subcommittee of the council that does that, because I don't think 9 different opinions on every section of the code is a very good use of the entire council as a body's time, and I think it would require a level of detail, but also on behalf of the whole council, a level of trust for the subcommittee to be able to get through it manageably. Otherwise, think about how many amendments could be offered. Think about how many opportunities there are to speak. Think about how many opportunities there are to pull things out and put things back in. And I think this is an example of a project that if we don't manage it as a body correctly and let our ambitions exceed our capacity, we'll really get stuck in the mud.
Good points. What do you want to call this subcommittee? Fine adjustment?
Well,
or fine
we don't have to
review?
decide now. I think we can see what staff comes back with and kind of take a temperature then. That'll give everybody a chance to review section 110 of the code and think about, what their own individual pet peeves are if they have any. And then we can kind of see where things stand. I mean,
So-
I think but a subcommittee on fines and fees or something like that would be maybe something we could think about.
So you're suggesting we talk about that new subcommittee maybe in the next work session when you meet?
Yeah, since we're already talking about, my suggestion is, since we're already talking about a second work session, is we bring what you might say are the low-hanging fruit, that is staff's biggest and best recommendations, and then kind of decide at that point whether that's basically good enough, and that's as far as we want to go for now, or whether we really want to get into the weeds. And if we decide that we really want to get into the weeds, I really think we're going to need another body to be able to do that, because otherwise, every council meeting will be all about fines all the time for a very long time.
Because there's so many of them. Good point. So let's wait until the next work session, and then we can decide.
Agreed.
All right, thank you. So staff has direction?
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Jatinder Coker, and our attorney, Ms. Anderson. Thank you for your work.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Council.
Thank you. All right, so we're done with all the agenda items. Now is the time for request for status of future agenda items. I believe Mayor Pro Tem Mitchell submitted one request, but was it approved last week? She submitted. We haven't approved yet. But we can approve it on her behalf. She doesn't need to be here, right? What was the item? Can someone remind me? Is it some review, audit, review, run an audit on all of our grant recipients probably in the city? Yeah. Can someone move a motion to
I
approve
move
it?
it. So on behalf of the Mayor Pro Tem, I ask that her request that she did submit be added to a future agenda item.
In a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstention? This will go into the master list. Thank you. Any other item? I haven't seen any applications, so let's move forward from there. All right, now is the time for comments from the audience. I don't have anyone in the room. If you want to speak from online who have joined, please raise your virtual hands. We'll allow you. So now let's come back to the council for the comments, starting with Mr. Rigg.
Pass, thank you.
And Mr. Ranker?
Pass.
Ms. Mackey?
I'm not going to pass. I wanted to say that my colleague, Mr. Hernandez, and I had the privilege of going to the College Park Academy's graduation, and it was really very inspirational. The valedictorian and the salutatorian speeches were like professionals, and the keynote speaker was from the University of Maryland, another fantastic speech. So I don't know if it's on YouTube or something, but if you got a chance to see it, it's definitely worth going, participating in. And so over the last, I guess, almost 6 years, I've served on the Chesapeake Bay Policy Committee for COG. And so this coming week, we're going to be, celebrating Chesapeake Bay awareness. And I just wanted to encourage people that I say this every year, but we can all do little things to help the Chesapeake Bay, which is one of Maryland's most important natural resources, if not the most important natural resource. So I encourage residents to check out just opportunities to save the bay. I'm going to give you 3 little ones. So pick up trash, compost, and don't put your yard waste in the street because it goes down into the bay and it causes unnatural algae growth and different things. So thank you for allowing me to serve on that committee for my 3 terms that I've been on council. Thank you.
Thank you so much for serving and representing College Park. Thank you for leadership. That's quite an honor for City of College Park. Thank you. Ms. Whitney.
And also, Councilmember Mackey was the past chair of that committee, which was...
That's quite a leadership.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was. Very important. I'll pass other than pointing that out.
Thank you. Very nice of you. Mr. Hill.
Thank you, I pass.
And Mr. Hernandez.
Last week, I had the pleasure of attending International Night at Hollywood Elementary School with some of the families from various countries. While there was a little bit of some excitement due to the tornado warning that had occurred.
Yeah.
So we all got to practice our tornado, drills. Thankfully, everyone was okay, and yeah, just be careful. The weather's kind of crazy these days. So.
And there are 2 warnings, one after another, and the city did a pretty good job actually pushing those warnings out in the social media. Thank you, Ms. Whitney.
I'm sorry to circle back around, but that inspired me. As a Texan, a former Texan, we always had disaster drills at school, and I always take shelter. I never play with tornado warnings, and I think it would behoove all of our residents to ensure that everyone that they know has a plan for where they will go in case there is such an emergency. And when the sirens go off and you hear them on campus, take it seriously. Don't go outside with your phone and try to document it, please. Okay, thanks. I'm talking to my husband when I say that.
And there are some incidents that happened in College Park, in the campus,
Yeah.
which are not pretty stories, so be careful.
But with that, thanks to the university for actually sounding the sirens.
They did.
I think they did it twice. There was one earlier in the day and then later in the day, so.
Did a good job. Thankfully, nothing happened.
Yep.
All right, let's go to the student liaison. Final comments?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Again, moving forward, we're going to be working on those advisory council applications and figuring specifics for that. Looking forward to that as well. And again, looking forward to working with all of you this coming year.
Fantastic. Ms. Bujma?
Yep, Nick said everything I was going to say, but we are working on those applications, and also I'm very excited to get to know all of you and hopefully do some great things.
Absolutely, absolutely. We're very happy that you are pretty much engaged tonight and made some pretty good comments. Yeah, let's be like this in the future meetings. Thank you so much. All right, who is going to speak? Maybe both of you can speak. Mr. Young, anything from Kent? How is ITGA?
ITGA is going well. It's good to be back with ITGA, but I have nothing further tonight.
Thank you. Take some good rest. All right, Mr. Gardiner, anything?
Nothing
Final?
further. We'll adjourn to a closed session. and
Right.
It'll take a minute or two to get the link to our virtual participants, but we'll start it real soon.
Certainly. That reminds me to read the statement, the templated statement, but closed session, and it reads as follows. Pursuant to the Maryland Annotated Code, General Provisions, Article 3-305, the Mayor and Council of the City of College Park are providing notice that they will meet in a closed session after this meeting to, number one, discuss the appointment, employment, assignment, promotion, discipline, demotion, compensation, removal, resignation, or performance evaluation of appointees, employees, or officials over whom this public body has jurisdiction. Any other personnel matter that affects one or more specific individuals. The mayor and council will be discussing the board and committee application received. Number two, to consider the acquisition of a real property for public purpose and matters directly related thereto. And number three, to consult with counsel to obtain legal advice. The mayor and council will not return to open session. So I'll entertain a motion at this point that
Motion is that
moving
closed.
to the closed session.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstention? Good night, College Park.